seeing meditation in those ways is never going to produce any sort of positive results. And so by forcing yourself into that, only going to create more of a challenge for yourself. We're going to talk about what makes meditation actually work. And then the ultimate goal in this is to actually get the experience that most people think they're going to get whenever they meditate. And here's the interesting part about this, is that if you get the experience, then doing the practice will have fruit. If you just do the practice and you don't get the experience, it's not going to produce the fruit. You end up just kind of wasting your time. So once we get this going on Facebook, if it'll let me get going, we're going to start off talking a little bit about what meditation really is, how much freedom we have in meditation. Most of you actually meditate on a regular basis. You're just not giving yourself credit for it. And because you're not getting yourself credit for it, you're not going to get the full benefits. And we're going to talk a little bit about how we know that that is true scientifically, and then get you to have a much easier and more relaxed and more open understanding of what meditation really is, so that at some point you can get the benefits. All right, Connie, I am not letting... Yes, we like fruit. Sandy and Kathy are energized. Awesome. Thank you so much for bringing that energy. We need it today. If we can bump up the energy just a little bit, we'll be able to get this going on Facebook. But it doesn't seem like Facebook has enough energy to let us run this.
Did you clear the cache, sir?
I cleared the cache. I did not restart my computer. That might be a problem. Let's see.
Well, I've got it recording, so if we don't get it live, I'll get it up
okay.
A little bit after this.
All right, well, I'm going to try one more time.
And I just want to say, I have thieves in my coffee right now, and I have your mom, Kathy, to thank for that. And that is so delicious. Anybody who hasn't done that, some Young Living thieves oil in the coffee, amazing.
The last combination that I would have ever tried on my own. So, and for those of you who don't know, Kathy is my mom. She is a wealth of amazing information. And anybody that has any questions about acupuncture or herbs, she was also a nurse practitioner. So one of her gifts is that she has the ability to see all of the different, or not, I want to know all of them, but a lot of the different forms of healthcare and how they merge, how they intersect, so that if one is not working for you, she may be able to kind of guide you into some different directions. So by all means, please, 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 if you have any questions, reach out. I can get you her information. And nope, Connie, it's not looking like Facebook wants to work with us. So we will go ahead and get started anyway. All right, here we go. So, meditation. One of the biggest misconceptions about meditation that is very, very common in our society is that meditation is supposed to produce thoughtlessness. And that right there Just having even that subconscious preconceived notion is going to completely shoot you in the foot. If you are thinking that you are going to get the mind to shut up by you sitting still, that is a recipe for disaster and frustration. Okay, meditation in in its basic and most fundamental form is two components. It is focus and it is awareness. Focused awareness, aware of what you're focused on. And it doesn't matter what you're focused on. What matters is your awareness with your focus. Okay. So in other words, when we're meditating, we can choose a focus like the breath. Okay. And you're just following the breath all the way in and all the way out, experiencing that breath. We do this in SRI. We bring a lot more awareness to the breath by focusing on the movements, on the inhale and exhale, on the energy flow. So there's a lot of awareness that's going into that focus of what is your experience of connecting with yourself here? Okay. And every time that we are aware that our awareness has drifted away from what we have decided our focus on is, okay, that's not a bad thing. That's actually an opportunity. So the more distracted you get, that's kind of like doing a repetition in weightlifting. You set your focus. You put your awareness on your focus. Your awareness starts to drift away. Oh, remember whenever I had that sandwich the other day? Oh, here we go. Now you're doing a weight rep. Every time that the awareness moves away from your focus and you bring it back, you are getting better and better of bringing your focus and your awareness into the same place. Okay. If you are weightlifting and there is no challenge in that weightlifting, if you're running and you're like, oh yeah, this is super easy, guess what? You're not making any progress. Okay. So the more of a challenge it is for you to keep your focus and your awareness together, the more progress you're making. The more your mind flutters off, the more potential progress you have to make. Okay? There's nothing wrong with your mind going in 1,000,001 different directions. The question is, are you aware of that? Can you sit with your awareness, keeping your focus, and being aware of all the different crazy things that flood across the stream of the mind? The difference between a master meditator and a novice meditator is a novice meditator is being pulled along with all the craziness that goes along in their mind, whereas the master meditator is completely focused on being aware of the mind without getting dragged into every thought. Because whenever you're dragged into a thought, whenever you allow that thought to just kind of take over, that's whenever you're no longer aware. That's when you're totally in your own imagination, your own individual reality, rather than being aware of what's going on and just accepting that that is what's going on, accepting that that is the reality. In this current reality right now, I'm distracted. Oh, okay, interesting. Wow. Can you just be aware that distraction is happening? And the second that you're aware that distraction is happening, the second you come back into the real reality, you have the ability to make a change, to make a shift. And whatever it is you've set as your focus, that's what you bring your awareness right back into. Okay. But the key is, the goal of all meditation is to expand awareness, to expand your ability to be able to focus. And the more things that you can focus on simultaneously or what we call multiple perspectives, the more you're driving the information processing of your brain out of the instinctual survival, more basic, lower portions and up into the higher information processing centers, the prefrontal cortex. And whenever we do functional MRI, whenever they do brain studies and looking at where is the activity, where is the blood flow with people that are having peak experiences, love, joy, bliss, the interconnectedness of everything, unconditional love, compassion, all of those are higher brain functions. So when we're meditating, a lot of people want to get to this bliss state. Great. In order to get the bliss state, we have to let go of processing all the information in our instinctual centers and allow that information, or to energize our system to have more energy to be able to process at the higher levels. The higher levels require more energy. Okay, being in thriving, which means everything in life is in harmony and in flow, that requires a lot more than just pure survival, just breathing in and out. Okay, so pure survival are much less energy expensive. They require less energy to satisfy. Okay, but it is a habit in our body. Our body is wired for survival. Our body is wired by all of the experiences that our ancestors survived. So because we're in an environment nowadays that doesn't really require a lot of survival focus, the energy that we are using to fuel our survival brain, that's not efficient use of our energy. That's not coherence. Okay, that's not being really where we actually are in reality. Because in reality, nowadays, your survival is not that big of an issue, right? But we're going to have to train the body. And that's really what meditation is. Meditation is training the body to let go of wasting its energy, focusing on survival that's not important for the here and now. And when that energy is liberated, okay, we can move up into these higher centers. And when we're in those higher centers, that's when we can get these experiences of what most people are trying to achieve with the meditation. Okay, today we're going to talk a little bit in SRI, where as a matter of fact, we're going to end with this with stage 8. Okay, stage 8 is what's called emptiness. In emptiness, we have pushed through being and accomplishing so much. We've gotten to the stage where we've accomplished so much, and the hunger has not been satiated. The hunger that drove us, the pain that drove us into being so productive and accomplishing, we start to experience, oh my gosh, what I thought was going to satisfy me is not going to satisfy me. Because what truly satisfies is only able to be created from here. Okay, the chemistry of being in bliss, the chemistry of being in love can only be created in here. So the more we put our focus on the outside, the more we put our focus on things that we're not truly in control of, or we don't have direct influence on, the farther and farther away we're pushing ourselves from the ability to focus and be aware of where satisfaction really comes from. And when we are truly satisfied, when we are truly in bliss, that's when the mind is able to be turned off. The mind is able to be superseded. The mind we're able to get above being dragged into all of these thoughts. So getting into that place of emptiness is very, very important. But there's a big difference between experiencing that and then creating a practice based on that experience versus trying to get there, trying to empty out. Just like we talked about yesterday, with energy neutral, the trying, the effort is a trick that the mind or the ego uses in order to keep us into energy neutral so that nothing really can change. So when we're meditating, what we want to continue to put our focus on is, where is our awareness? Okay, it's good to have kind of like a foundation. It's good to have like a flagpole or a marker to say, okay, this is where I'm going to keep my awareness. And when we're not focused on that, because our brain works on contrast, it's a lot easier to become aware of when we've lost our focus. So having a particular focus can be beneficial, and that's one form of meditation. But there's other forms of meditation, and those other forms of meditation can be just as impactful. But the goal in all of the meditations is to keep our awareness and our focus at the forefront of what's going on. And being compassionate, being understanding, being loving, first with yourself, just like we talked about in our self-love class, being compassionate enough to say, oh, hey, my focus, it shifted. I am aware that I am focusing on something totally other than what I said as my flagpole. I am totally aware that my focus is now on the crazy stream of thoughts that's constantly going on in this physical body, rather than what I've set my intention on. So there's many different things that you can set your intention on. You can set your intention on something like a mantra, which is a repetitive statement. In Catholicism, the rosary is a form of a mantra. I know transcendental meditation is very much based on a mantra. It can be a mantra that you understand. It can be a series of words that you continually over and over and over and over again. It can be a sound that you add in. I know a lot of transcendental meditation, they use Sanskrit. And since most of us don't use Sanskrit, a lot of times you may not necessarily know what that mantra is. Okay, so it's not necessarily important that there is a meaning to it, although attaching a meaning to it does provide that multiple perspectives. But the importance is that repetition, that action. If you are a behavior type person, having something that you can act upon is going to be very, very beneficial in keeping you energized enough to keep your focus. Okay. And to be compassionate when you become aware that you're not focused. So you can put your focus on the breath. The inhale in, the exhale out, just flowing with that. When we decide that we want to put our focus on the breath, especially if you have, practiced meditation kind of here and there, and, it's been a challenge to get to a lot of experience and experiential places in that meditative practice, then what I would recommend is don't make your breath anything. Later on down the road, whenever you become a master meditator, you can do different forms of breath and keep your focus on those different forms of breath in order to achieve different experiences. But in the beginning, what I would recommend is just be compassionate and aware of what your breath is, without trying, without efforting. Just completely being aware of what is. And when what is changes, you're just aware of that change. Oh, my breath changed. Oh, well, okay, interesting. How? Cool. Okay, and then just keep being aware of that. So in that awareness, it could be on a body sensation. Okay, it could be on a different part of your body. I'm gonna stay focused on my chest today, and I'm just gonna be aware of what the space around my chest is like, and I'm just gonna keep my focus on on what the space inside my chest feels like. And you know what? I'm thinking about a sandwich again. Oh, okay, interesting. Bringing that focus back. So it can be a behavior that you focus on. It could be a structure that you focused on, like a certain part of your body. It could be a sensation that you could focus on. It could be an emotion. Okay, so today I'm going to keep my focus on compassion. Okay. And I'm going to allow myself to go into whatever it is that I am associating with compassion. It could be a thought, it could be an emotion, it could be a memory, it could be experience, it could be a desire for the future. Whatever it is, anything that is compassion related, I'm going to stay focused on. And when I start to drift away from compassion, I'm just going to lovingly and compassionately bring my focus right back to whatever it is I've set. Okay, so it doesn't. You can be focused on playing. Okay, whenever they're doing brain studies, one of the things that they found out is if you've ever heard, like in sports, of being in the zone. Okay, where everything is just flowing and you're moving through and everything is happening around you, but there's no like planning, there's no thoughts. It's just there's the pathway and you're just flowing with it. Athletes who get into the zone, their brain is functioning in a way that is extremely similar, if not exactly the same, as someone who has mastered the art of meditation. Okay, so you could be in a meditative state when you're working. You could be in a meditative state whenever you're playing sports. You could be a meditative state whenever you're reading a book to your children before they go to bed. You can be in a meditative state whenever you're having a deep conversation or exchange with a friend, when you're totally and completely focused on them. Okay, so it doesn't matter what your focus is. What matters is, are you aware of what you're focusing on? And are you aware of when you lose your focus? So knowing that meditation is just focused awareness, think to yourself, how many times in your life, how many times in your day do you get into the zone where you are completely focused and completely aware of what's going on, but without the effort of trying to be focused and keeping okay? When you notice that you're in the zone with whatever that is, when you notice whenever you're in the flow, not only are you in a meditative mindset, but this is the experience of energy rich that we talked about yesterday, because there's no effort going into it. It's just happening and you're just going along with the flow. And at the end of it, you come out and you're like, whoa, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just did that. Wow. All right. So all of this ties in together. And this is the goal of a meditative practice, is to expand your awareness and your focus ability enough to be able to get into this energy rich state. And this is where the master meditators, this is where those spiritual masters, this is where the geniuses, this is where they live their life on a much more consistent basis than most of us do. Okay, so the goal in meditation is to give us the ability to turn on and to turn off this energy rich state, this flow state, the zone. And it's much, much easier to do that in a practice if you felt it, if you've experienced it, if you know if you're achieving your goal, because there is 1,000,001 different meditative practices out there. So how do you know what's the right meditative practice for you? Well, you have to know your outcome, and you have to be able to measure, you have to be able to know whether or not you're achieving your outcome. If you're doing the wrong form of meditation, you could do it over and over and over again, and you may be able to get much, much better at that form of meditation. But ultimately in your life, if there's not as much of a flow state, if there's not an increase in your ability to go into that energy rich zone easier and more effortlessly, well, guess what? Even though you're getting better at that meditative practice, it may not be the right meditative practice for you. Okay, so no one is exactly the same. So give yourself permission to explore. Give yourself the compassion to be able to say, this is where I am right now. Oh, and this is where I am right now. Okay, and bringing yourself back into that focus. And in bringing yourself back into that focus, not only in your meditative practice, but in your life as well, it may be time for change. It may be time to try something new, to try something novel. If you are an external, you're going to be trying a lot more new and novel things. And it's going to be the experience that you get at the beginning of trying that newness and that novelty, which is actually going to give you more benefit than staying with a practice for your entire life. Okay, that works really, really well for internals, because internals need to go step by step and they need to build on the past and they need to keep going and keep going and keep going. Externals are much more suited for jumping around, gaining that profound experience and then jumping to the next thing. So don't think that it's the practice that's going to get you anywhere. It's the experience. And in order to get that experience, you may require something different than the average person or the people around you or what you've been convinced that you are. Okay. So be compassionate with yourself above all. Give yourself the freedom to flow, the freedom and the confidence to be able to jump into different things so that you can get those higher, more aha or awe experiences in which you are just in rapture of what's going on. Whenever you can achieve that experience, doesn't matter what the practice is, okay? It's that experience that's going to make the change. All right? So let's go ahead and jump into a quick practice. And again, the goal of this is to get the experience. Okay. I'm gonna offer you multiple different ways to keep your focus. Okay. Whichever way that you choose, whichever experience, whichever way gives you the experience more effortlessly, that's the one that I want you to focus on, regardless of what that experience is. The bigger the experience, the more drastically outside your normal, the better. Okay. So in this, what we're going to do is we are going to focus on the awareness of the space around and within our body. Okay. While we're focusing on that space around within our body, we're going to be adding in some different ways to keep our focus there. One of the ways that we're going to be adding in is a specific location. Okay, this is going to work really, really well for some people. Another way that we can add this in, add the focus in and the awareness in, is going to be to pay attention to a color. Okay, which is going to work really, really well for other people. Okay, and you can focus on that color, you can imagine that color, you can feel that color, you can see if that color changes, it ebbs and flows. Okay, and the third thing that we're going to add in is a particular emotion. Okay, or a sensation or a feeling that when we're focused on this particular area with that sensation and that color, okay, what changes? What do you notice when you are focused? What are you aware of a dynamicness? Are you aware of an experience? Okay, so we want to be focused on a location. We want to be focused on a color. We want to be focused on a feeling or sensation. But one of those is going to give you a more profound experience. Whichever one that is, that's the one I want you to lean into. I want you to be aware that you are unique, and I want you to give yourself permission to be that unique expression. Okay? So, everyone just relax. You can lay down. You can sit up. Okay, what we want to do though is we want to be in a position that our spine is nice and erect. Okay, if that's laying down, great. What I'm going to ask is that if you lay down, you do not put a pillow behind your head, which is going to pull the neck into flexion, that you allow that neck to just kind of drop into whatever you're laying on. Okay. If you're sitting up, it may be beneficial for you to sit up against a wall and make sure that as much of the back of your pelvis and your shoulder blades and the back of the head is touching that wall as you can get. Okay. This is going to allow the spine to be as erect as it can be. Okay. If you are a master meditator and you know your body really, really well, feel free to just sit in an upright position, keeping that spine straight. But the more and more you focus on trying, the more you're going to keep yourself into energy neutral, and the less change, the less of an experience that you're going to get into this. So despite what most of us think about meditation, today I'm going to ask you to put the least amount of effort into this that you can possibly get away with. We want all of our energy, all of our effort going into awareness and being aware of when we drift away from whatever focus is working for us. Okay, so everyone get into a comfortable position. Allow yourself the freedom to just be. Allow yourself the freedom to explore. Allow yourself the freedom to imagine. Allow yourself the freedom to get distracted. And when you notice that you're distracted, you just lovingly and compassionately bring your awareness back to the focus. So hopefully you found a nice comfortable place to be with your spine erect. We're going to be breathing in our nose and out our mouth. I may change that up a little bit later on, but just for right now, just notice how your body is breathing. Notice the location of the breathing. Notice the quality of the breathing, not trying to change it, just allowing it to be. Feel the space around your body during the inhale. Feel the space around your body during the exhale. Just allowing that space to be. Just noticing what it is, how it feels, what it does, as you just allow the breath to occur naturally. Now, the first spot, the first location, the first space that we're going to focus on is going to be the very center point of where our legs come together and meet our body. Right in between, this is called our perineum or the pelvic floor. Feel the space. That is right in between the legs at the very bottom of what we would call our trunk or our body. Feel the space that that takes up. Feel the space outside of the body around that location. Staying focused on the perineum, staying focused on the very bottom of the pelvis, right between the legs, the very center, and feeling the space outside the body, feeling the space that the perineum takes up in the space around the body. The color that we're going to focus on is going to be red. Whenever you're paying attention to the space of the perineum, when you're paying attention to that space and how much space that takes up in the space around the body, what color red is around the body? And what color red is in that place or space inside the body, around the perineum? Is there a movement to that color? Is there a flow of those two different spaces? Does the red shift or change in the space inside the body compared to the space around the body? The emotion that we're going to pay attention to, we're going to feel in that place or space of the perineum and around the body, and within that red is curiosity. What do you notice? What's interesting about the sensation, about the color, about the location? When you put your awareness into the sensation, into the color, into the location of your perineum, what do you notice? How interesting. Curiosity, red, lower area. And as we're paying attention to this lower area, as we're paying attention to the red, as we're paying attention to being curious, breathing, what's happening with the breath? Curious about the breath, curious about the red, curious about the location. Be aware of where the focus is. Be aware of the experience of keeping the focus in the place or space right at the very bottom of the pelvis, around the body. How much space does the bottom of the pelvis take up in the space around the body? Breathing in the nose, out the mouth, keeping the focused awareness. Now, we're going to move our center of awareness to just below and behind the belly button. Feeling how much space does the area about an inch or so below the belly button and about an inch or so behind the belly button, how much space can you be aware of? How much space does that area take up in the space that's around the body? Feel the space around the body. Feel that space comparative to the space below the belly button. The color that we want to be aware of is orange. What color orange do you imagine? Can you feel? Can you see in the space around the body at the level of the belly button? What color, what quality of the color of orange can you imagine? Can you feel? Can you see inside that space of the body? Is there a difference in the color of orange in the space around compared to the color just behind the belly button? Do you notice the color flowing? Do you notice it changing? Is it a drastic shift, a sharp cutoff into a different color? Is there a movement that happens? What's that orange feel like? The feeling, the emotion that we're now going to bring into our awareness, right behind the belly button, into that orange, is passion. Being fueled so much, flowing into a creative action or act or process, because we're just enthralled with the process, with the outcome. It's just deep inside of us. We just must. And it's so, so, so amazing just to be fully into it. We are so passionate. Feel the passion. Think the thoughts of passion. Remember the passion. Feel what passion is going to be like in that orange space around the body at the level of the belly button. Feel the passion right behind and below the belly button. Orange, belly button, passion. Breathing in the nose, out the mouth, aware of the breathing right below the belly button, aware of how the orange is being affected by our breathing, aware of how the passion is being affected by the breathing, being aware of how the space around the belly button, outside the body, is affected by the breathing. Breathing, passion, orange, below the belly button. Now, go back to the red, right below, at the bottom of the pelvis, into the perineum. That red curiosity, the red space around the body at the level of the very bottom of the pelvis, and simultaneously feel and experience them both. The red curiosity at the bottom of the pelvis, the orange passion just below the belly button. Feel those spaces around the body simultaneously. Feel the colors, see the colors, imagine the colors of red and orange together at the location of the very bottom of the pelvis and right below and behind the belly button at the same time. Number one, red, curiosity, pelvis. Number two, passion, orange, below the belly button. Now we're going to move to the solar plexus. Right at the bottom of the sternum, that hard breastbone, right where that hard breastbone starts to turn soft, right at that junction. How much space does that junction take up? How much space within the body can you be aware of, or can you imagine, or can you feel? How much space does that solar plexus take up in the space around and outside your body? Feel the space at the level outside your body of the solar plexus. How much space can you be aware of? And how much space does that solar plexus take up within that space around your body? Now bring in the color yellow. Feel, imagine, see that color yellow right around the solar plexus. Is there a difference in the quality or the texture or the color yellow in the space around the body at the level of the solar plexus? Is there a difference in that color yellow in the space within the body that solar plexus takes up? Are they the same? Is there a distinction? Is it a sharp cutoff between the two colors? Does it fade in? Does it flow in? Is there a movement that you can perceive in that color yellow, that space around and at the level of the solar plexus outside the body? Now bring in the feeling of freedom. The freedom of just being uninhibited, totally open, flowing, being, receiving, giving, completely uninhibited and free. Feel and infuse that yellow with freedom. Feel that yellow freedom in the space that the solar plexus occupies. How much of that yellow freedom does a solar plexus occupy compared to the space that's around the body? Feel that yellow, open, expansive freedom around and outside the body. What's the difference in that yellow freedom around the body at the level of the solar plexus compared to the space within the solar plexus? Those spaces flow into one another. Those places flow into one another. What is the freedom in the ability to just be aware of what is around that yellow solar plexus? Remember, recall, refocus on the very bottom of the pelvis, the red curiosity at the perineum. Feel that red, curious space around and outside the body. At the same time, bring in the awareness of that orange passion right below and behind the belly button. Perineum, behind the belly button. Red, orange, curiosity, passion. Now bring in simultaneously the freedom. The perineum, behind the belly button, the solar plexus, the red, the orange, the yellow, the curiosity, passion, and freedom. Curiosity, passion, and freedom in each one of the locations with each one of the colors: red, orange, yellow, perineum, belly button, solar plexus. Curiosity, passion, freedom. Feel them simultaneously. Feel those places and spaces as they interact as one complete unit. Feel the colors as they feel together in relationship to one another. Feel, experience curiosity, passion, and freedom. Breathing in the nose, out the mouth, all three spots simultaneously. Now we're moving to the heart. Feel the very, very center of the chest. Feel the space that the very center of the chest occupies in the space around you. Feel the space around the body. How much awareness, how much space can you be aware of? And how much space within the space that occupies around the body? How much space does this space within the chest occupy? Feel, experience, breathe into the space around the body. Feel, experience, breathe into the space within the chest. Experiencing the interaction between the space around the body and the space within the body, right at the center of the chest. Bring in the color green. Feel that space infused with green. Feel the green flowing in. Feel the texture of that green. Experience the thoughts and the emotions of that green space around the center of the chest. Feel, experience the thoughts, emotions, feelings, memories, hopes, dreams of that green space within the chest. Be aware of the subtle or not so subtle differences in that color green around the body and its relationship to the color green within the body. Now bringing compassion to that green heart space. Feel all of the compassion in the universe and the space around the physical body. Feel all of the compassion that has ever been felt within the body in that green heart space. Green, compassionate heart space. Green, compassionate heart center all around the body. How much space does that green, compassionate heart center take up in the space outside the body? Bringing the awareness to that red curiosity at the very bottom of the pelvis, red curiosity with orange passion right below and behind the belly button, red curiosity, orange compassion, the bottom of the pelvis, lower than the belly button. Yellow, solar plexus, freedom, curiosity, passion, and freedom. Red, orange, yellow, bottom of the pelvis, behind the belly button, solar plexus, feeling those all together, and simultaneously bring in that green heart space at the center of the chest. Curiosity, passion, freedom, compassion. Red, orange, yellow, green, all at the same time. Feel the colors, feel the locations, feel the emotions. Notice the interaction, notice the dance, notice the location. Red, orange, yellow, green, curiosity, passion, freedom, compassion. Bottom of the pelvis, behind the belly button, solar plexus, heart center. Breathing into all of them simultaneously, observing how the breath is flowing in and around that red, orange, yellow, green structure, that curiosity, passion, freedom, compassion experience, the location, bottom of the pelvis, behind the belly button, solar plexus, heart space, feeling all of the space that those take up. And now we're going to move into the throat, from the center of the throat, in between the front and the back, right at the center, from top of the throat, bottom of the head, bottom of the throat, top of the chest, right at the center. Feel the space that the center of the throat occupies in the space around the body. Feel as much space around the body as you can experience. And how much of that space does the center of the throat occupy? Feeling, staying focused on that location, imagining, experiencing, focused. Bring in blue to the space around the throat. Experience the space that the throat occupies as blue. Observe the space that the throat occupies. Observe the quality and texture and experience of blue. And observe how it relates to the space around the body at the level of the throat, that blue space completely surrounding the level of the throat. Notice the relationship between those two spaces. Notice the relationship, the interconnectedness of the space that the throat occupies in the space around the body. Notice the blue, feel the blue, imagine the blue, see the blue, whichever one works. And bring in confidence. It's a confident blue in the space that the throat occupies. The confidence, all of the confidence in the universe, pouring into the space around the body, filling up that bright blue, confident space, noticing how much space the throat occupies, experiencing all the confidence that you have ever experienced in your life from the throat, projecting out into the space around the body. All of the confidence, the blue confidence in the universe flowing into the throat, all of the confidence that you've ever experienced flowing out of the throat. Blue, confident level of the throat. Breathing that blue confidence from the space around the body into the space in the body, allowing the flow of the space within the body to be expressed into the space around the body. Bring the focus down to curiosity, red, bottom of the pelvis, orange, passion, right behind the belly button, red, orange, yellow, freedom in the solar plexus, red, orange, yellow, all together, bottom of the pelvis, behind the belly button, solar plexus at the same time, curiosity, passion, and freedom, compassion, green heart space, red, orange, yellow, green, bottom of the pelvis, behind the belly button, solar plexus, heart space, curiosity, passion, freedom, compassion, all simultaneously experiencing all as one blue confidence in the throat, bottom of the pelvis, behind the belly button, solar plexus, heart space, throat, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, curiosity, passion, freedom, compassion, confidence, breathing all the way into all of those simultaneously, all breathing into the experience, breathing into the location, breathing in and following the flow. Curiosity, passion, freedom, compassion, confidence, red, orange, yellow, green, blue. Now we're going to move our awareness into the space right between our eyes and the very bottom and the back of our head. At the very center of the under part of the skull, at the level between our eyes and our ears and the back of our head, feel the space that the bottom of the skull between the eyes and the back of the head, feel the space that this part of the body occupies within the space around the body. Feel the space around the bottom of the skull between the eyes and the back of the head. Experience how much space is the bottom of the skull between the eyes and the back of the head occupying within the space around the body. And now bring in purple. Purple space between the eyes and the back of the head, around the body, breathing that space, allowing that space to breathe the body. Purple in between the eyes and the back of the head, bottom of the skull. Now bring in the emotion of the joy of aha. Of course it's this way. I see it all now. Oh my gosh. Wow. The joy of aha, the joy of eureka, the joy of that flash of understanding and awareness. Purple joy right in between the back of the head and the eyes at the bottom of the skull, feeling the joy of aha, the joy of seeing, the joy of accepting and understanding in a flash. That purple joy of aha in the space between the eyes and the back of the head at the bottom of the skull. Experiencing the space around the body, purple aha joy of knowingness. Experiencing that purple joy of aha in the space that the back and bottom of the skull in between the eyes occupies. Bring the focus to the red at the bottom of the pelvis, the curiosity, the yellow passion, or the orange passion right below the belly button, the yellow freedom at the solar plexus, bottom of the pelvis, behind the belly button, solar plexus, heart space, green compassion, red curiosity at the bottom of the pelvis, orange passion at behind the belly button, yellow freedom in the solar plexus, green compassion at the heart space, blue confidence at the throat, and purple joy of aha at the base and the bottom of the skull. Pelvis, belly button, solar plexus, heart, throat, middle and bottom of the skull, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, curiosity, passion, freedom, compassion, confidence, joy of aha. Feel all of those together simultaneously, interconnected relationship of these different places and things and feelings and experiences and colors. Now move to the very top of the head. Very, very center point of the head, right on the outside of the skin. White. Experience the very top of the head. How much of the space around you does the very top of your head occupy? Feel the white, pure light, pure bright white light of that space, the very top of the head. Experience the sensation at the top of the head as the focus is feeling the space, that bright white space that the top of the head occupies. Bring in awe, being swept away by beauty, being a total aghast at the amazing beauty and experience, total and complete awe, white, very top of the head, feeling the awe in the space, that bright white space around the body at the level of the top of the head, feeling the awe in that bright white space that the top of the head occupies. Awe, top of the head, bright white. Bringing the focus to the bottom of the pelvis, the red curiosity, the yellow passion behind the belly button, the red, the yellow, the orange, the red, the orange, the yellow freedom behind the solar plexus, bottom of the pelvis, red curiosity, behind the belly button, orange passion, solar plexus, yellow freedom, green compassion in the heart space, blue confidence at the throat, purple joy of aha at the very bottom and the inside of the skull, bright white awe at the top of the head, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, bright white, bottom of the pelvis, behind the belly button, solar plexus, heart space, throat, between the eyes, very top of the head, curiosity, passion, freedom, compassion, confidence, joy of aha, and all together. See that rainbow, see the flow in between all those colors, experience all of the emotions simultaneously. Experience the space around the body in all of those different ways, in all of those different locations, with all of those different emotions. Breathing the space around the body, breathing the space in the body, allowing the space around the body to breathe the body, allowing the body to breathe the space around it. Color, location, emotion. Now, take the 3 fingers of one of your hand, your pointer finger, your middle finger, and your ring finger, and put the tips of those fingers right on your solar plexus with your elbow bent to the side so that your wrist is straight. The fingers are bent towards the body with the fingertips touching, and the elbow is directly out to the side, parallel with the wrist. And take the other hand, 3 fingers, take the tips of the fingers and put the tips of the fingers right in between your eyes, at your third eye, in between your eyebrows, lifting the skin up underneath the fingertips at your solar plexus, lifting that skin upwards very slightly, especially towards the inhale, lifting that skin up. The fingers that are touching the forehead, the elbow of that arm is coming down and it's resting on the hand at the solar plexus. So the hand at the solar plexus, the elbow is directly out to the side parallel, and the elbow of the hand that is touching the forehead is resting on the hand of the solar plexus. So the forearm is straight up and down of the hand that's resting on the forehead. Breathing in all the way in the mouth and out the nose. Lifting with the hands and the body during the inhale in the mouth, allowing the body to melt into where the fingers are during the exhale out the nose. In the mouth, lifting the body, straightening the spine, pulling the chin a little bit back. Exhaling, allowing the body to collapse in. Inhaling in the mouth, exhaling out the nose. Inhaling in the mouth, exhaling out the nose. As if during the inhale, we are drawing in that awe experience. Oh my gosh, it's so amazing. In the mouth and out the nose, just melting. opening up the fingers, spreading the skin up and out with the fingers of the inhale, and allowing everything to collapse in on the exhale. Keeping the elbow right on top of the hand of the solar plexus. Keeping the elbow of the hand of the solar plexus out to the side in the mouth. Breathing in that awe and exhaling out the nose, total collapsing in. The body is rising with the inhale and falling with the exhale. In the nose, out the mouth. In the mouth, out the nose. In the mouth, breathing in the awe. Out the nose, collapsing and relaxing. In the mouth, breathing in the awe. Out the nose, collapsing in. Allowing the rhythm in the space around the body to draw the body up with the inhale in the mouth. Allowing the space to fold into and around the body. Exhale out the nose. Experiencing the awe of just being. Inviting the awe to flow into the body during the inhale of the mouth. And just melting into the awe. The exhale out the nose. Allowing the rhythm to just be. And relax the arms. Let the body breathe, however the body wants to breathe. Experience the space around the body. Experience the space within the body. Experience the thinking space. Experience the feeling space. Experience the emotional space. What's different right here and right now? And when you're ready, move the body, wiggle the toes, wiggle the fingers, wiggle the arms. Move the shoulders, move the hips, move the knees. Go ahead and sit on up. We went a little bit over today. And what an amazing space to go over time with. Come back to your computers or just hang out there, whatever you want. Just be. Just allow. Just experience that openness, that emptiness. And if you feel called, because you know it would benefit you, you know it would benefit those around you, those that are watching this now, and those that will be watching this in the future, please share any experience that you had, whether you would like to type it into the chat or whether you'd like to unmute yourself or raise your hand and we'll unmute you and you can speak it out loud. So Kathy wants to know, how do you avoid napping while in meditation? Well, Kathy, whenever we're doing something like this, and the goal is to get to that place of no thinking, where thinking is opened up, you've transcended thinking and you're into that space of nothingness, a nap sounds like a great place to be. Go ahead, Barbara.
Okay, so um, it was interesting, and in summary, it was a feeling of being okay to be more of myself.
Awesome.
And I noticed how like I was resistant to it at the beginning, and then I was able to get to that place. So yeah, thanks so much.
And Barbara, what did you notice at the very end when we had our fingers over those particular spots in our body, and we were breathing in the mouth and out the nose? What did you notice about the thinking space during that and after?
Yeah, there was not a lot, and not a lot of thinking, but now that you are asking, what I noticed is like when I would exhale, actually I felt that making a noise of relief, like like because you were guiding, and sometimes again when you are guiding and I get on that, it's hard for me to remember after, but um you were guiding, you were saying something, I don't, but I also noticed that I was doing that and I also felt, for me, the movement is important. So I had to like bend my knees.
Yep.
For get more on that on the whole movement.
Good.
Although I was also tempted to I kind of wanted to like open my to feel the space out instead of, but I know that's just because of that external, like I feel that that joy, let's call it,
Yes.
in a different way.
Yes.
But I was still touching, I still was doing the exercise, but
yeah, no, feel free to keep your focus on the space around the body. There's nothing wrong with that.
Okay, but not the hands, right? Because the hands, they do have a reason to be.
They do have a reason, and part of that reason is to focus on the physical body, or to focus on the field in between physical bodies. So Barbara, if you did decide after doing this on the physical body that you wanted to move the hands into the space in front of or outside the physical body, you would then be doing this exercise much more for the collective humanity.
Oh, okay.
As opposed to the individual. So there's not a right or wrong way of doing this, Barbara. What I'm going to recommend is that the next time you get one of those feelings, one of those inklings, you just, especially in these upper levels, that you allow yourself the freedom to explore.
Okay. Thank you, Todd. That helps a lot.
Good. All right. So, Amory, you have your hand up. Whoop. There we go. All right. How'd it go, Amory?
Blissful. That was amazing. I was able to really focus on the colors in the lower areas, which I normally have a very hard time with, the colors, and that was the easiest part for me, which was interesting.
Yep.
It was also, I noticed in some of them there was a lot of movement, and some of them there wasn't. But it was really interesting. Like the colors in the body were very dense and solid, and out of the body got lighter and lighter and lighter. It was the same shade, but it appeared lighter because it was like translucent.
Awesome.
That was very interesting. And then as we got higher, like up into the heart and higher, is when I had lots of opportunity, and because I was getting distracted. But then at the end, I was able to really settle back in again, and so it was interesting. It was definitely one of the best meditations I've ever had. And I'm pulled over on the side of the road next to the highway, which
yeah, probably not the
extra
best thing to do
bizarre.
while you're driving. Don't want to get too blissed out. There's a time and a space.
No, well, my son broke his hand and he's at urgent care, so I'm waiting to pick him up. So I
Oh,
just
wow.
kind of pulled away, and because
Okay.
they won't let me in, which I'm not upset about.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for sharing.
Thank you.
All right, so we're going to read this, and then we're going to have Kathy speak. So Amy says she's enjoyed the Joe Dispenza meditation, and yes, the convergent and the divergent focus, focusing on the space around the body, which is divergent focus, or this focusing on the space within the body, is something that I picked up from Joe Dispenza. But this is also the external and the internal way of doing things. So the convergent focus is going to be very energizing and is going to be feeling very light and freeing to the internal, the space within the body. The divergent focus, the space around the body, is going to feel much freer and much lighter and more expansive and energizing to the external. So playing around with those two is something that I've learned from multiple different perspectives. And then said, yes, the blessing of the energy center is an awesome Joe Dispenza meditation. If anybody is interested, I highly, highly recommend going and check his website, which is encephalon.com. If you just look up Joe Dispenza on Google, you'll be able to find it. But yeah, the blessing of the energy center is an amazing, amazing meditation. But adding in the colors and the emotions was something new. And this is really key here, Amy, because especially for externals, the more new and novel that things are, the bigger the impact is. So we want to take what we've done, but we always want to keep adding new and novel experiences so that what we've done in the past is not just kind of more of the same. Glad you felt it was awesome. You felt the energy all around me and in me. That's amazing, Amy. You're so welcome for this guidance, and thank you so much for your comment. Tasha says, of course, trying to figure out how to just be in a world where everything is about doing. You found that this was really helpful. Yes, this is the recognition of this, Tasha, is that the doing a lot of times is a form of kind of keeping our energy up in order to maintain that energy neutral state so that we don't drop into energy poor. So there's not a problem with doing, but at some point we want to energize ourselves so much that we can break through into that pure being state. All right, so just keep in mind, Tasha, the more energy that you have, and focus does give you energy, focusing on what you are in control of or in relationship with, which is directly much more the body and your experiences, is one way to liberate more energy to push us into those higher states. And you said, and if my mind needs to think that it's doing, yes, you gave it the feeling, you gave the mind something to do, which is the best way to help you to get above it. Trying to starve the mind, trying to starve the ego, trying to starve anything is only going to create more lashing out. So there's not any part of us that we want to repress or avoid. We always want to acknowledge and become aware and to love each one of those different parts of us, and to recognize what that part of us does, what its purpose is, what its state of being is, and allow it to be satisfied. It is only by satisfying each different part of us, satisfying our desires and needs in appropriate and healthy and beneficial ways, that we will ever be able to move above and beyond them. Okay, and it gave you the feeling that it was having something to do secretly. You were just being, you were just being, exactly. That's what you want to do, is slip in the beingness behind the doingness, and then the body goes, oh, wait, I'm just being. Hey, and this isn't so bad. So yeah, perfect, Tasha. Thank you so much. And then Tasha also says that she's doing a 40-day meditation. I was wondering how to stay awake. Tasha, don't try to stay awake. Okay, just experience the meditation and experience that in-between stage, the in-between being awake and being asleep. This is when the brain is in a state, it's developing, it's producing the what's called the theta brain waves, which I believe are between 4 and 6 hertz per second. And the theta brainwave state is a very, very powerful, powerful meditative state. So when you are meditating and you notice yourself drifting in between conscious and awareness, that's the time to add in your intention. You're putting your attention on your intention. And this is a very, very powerful brain state to be in. So do not think that going to sleep is a bad thing. Honor where you are, honor what's going on, and recognize that there is something that you can do and a state that you can be within all of these different opportunities that we have. One of the meditative practices that I've had actually involves putting the body into that point in between theta, which is like, that twilight, and delta, which is deep sleep. If you can stay aware during delta, that is one of the most powerful brain states that you can be in during meditation. But it does take practice to hug that line between being completely asleep and just kind of drifting off. If you can keep yourself in that drifting off state, that is really, really powerful state to be in. So don't fight a nap, don't fight sleep, bring awareness to that nap, to that sleep. And you said that you were also having the 3 things to bring your focus back to every time you notice yourself getting distracted, and being internal, and being an introvert at the same. Being an internal and an introvert are not the exact same thing. We may talk about this a little bit in the future, but being an introvert, in the way that we look at things, is being fueled by yourself. Okay, it's the energy flow of whenever you are giving to yourself, it's going to be a lot easier to give to others. Being an extrovert is being fueled by other people, and people that are fueled by other people are extroverts. They need to give to others in order for them to be opened up to giving to themselves. Okay, so you can be an internal extrovert, you can be an internal introvert, you can be an external extrovert or an external introvert. It all matters. Are you fueled with yourself, or are you fueled with others? And this can be a very, very tricky thing. I fought both of these in myself for a really long time. Donnie, the guy that developed this, told me flat out, Tad, you are an external. He's like, no. I relate to internal so much. And it was like, no, that was just my energy neutral habit, my addiction to energy neutral, that I was used to acting as an internal, when really I'm an external. Okay. And because I am fueled by others, a lot of what I do in my waking life, in my active life, involves other people. So because it involves so much other people, and at the end of the day, like, I'm so physically tired and I just need that time and space to myself, I always thought that I was an introvert. And it's not that I'm an introvert. I'm very extrovert. I'm very fueled by others, but I need balance in my life. Okay. So I spend the majority of my time being fueled with others, but I also need that time to be myself, to kind of integrate. So neither one is right or wrong. And again, this is a spectrum. I'm not super extroverted, but I'm definitely not an introvert. I'm kind of closer to the middle, but more towards the side of being an extrovert than an introvert. So glad, Tasha, that makes a lot of sense. And anybody else? Yes, Kathy. Before we jump off, I'm going to unmute you here. Nope, I cannot unmute you, Kathy. So if you would do me a favor and unmute yourself, you had your hand up. Is there anything you'd like to share?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes. Oh, and it's not Kathy, it's Sandy. Hey, Sandy. Everybody, this is my father, Sandy.
How are you doing?
Good.
Hey, that was an interesting exercise, because a word that rang true to me because of some experiences here lately has been homesick. And so during the meditation, I wanted to practice going towards something rather than away from something. So I was doing the meditation going toward homecoming. And that was, very expansive, because as we went through I guess the other thing is that I am trying to break myself of the habit of thinking and understanding and focus more on experiencing. So with going toward homecoming and going more toward just experiencing, it was quite interesting, all the expansion that I had. And with the experiencing and the feeling, just allowing the emotions to come on over, allowing the expansion to occur both in my mind and my thinking and my body and everything else. It was quite interesting. Now, I'm not sure exactly how much I was awake, because Kathy heard me snoring.
I was awake, but he was napping.
Yeah. So you got to that place of emptiness even before we did stage 8. That's awesome.
You bet. I don't know how much I was there for all of it, but I felt like I was there for all of it.
Perfect.
So,
Perfect.
He was in the theta state.
Yes, there, very much. Like I said, that's a very powerful state. So don't be afraid and don't be ashamed of that. Just be aware, use it. So thank you so much for sharing. And last but not least, Connie, you have your hand up.
Hello.
Hello.
So I always have a hard time with visualization, so the colors were kind of difficult for me, but as we moved up, they got easier to see and I could feel them more than actually see them.
Yes.
And one of the things that I found that was really powerful was that, like, towards the end, even before we started in with the SRI exercise, and then definitely after the SRI exercise, it was really apparent. I had that feeling of, like, I didn't know where my body began or ended. And the only other time I've had that feeling is when I've been in one of those sensory deprivation tanks. So that was really cool to have that experience while just sitting. I did become aware of the fact that my foot was going numb because I didn't have myself propped up enough. I didn't use the same pillow that I usually use to meditate with.
Yes.
So that brought my awareness back into my body. But even with that, I was able to, like, feel just super expansive. And it was like my molecules were as far as the edge of the universe. And so that was pretty cool.
Yes. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Because in reality, our molecules are just flowing. We think they're ours, but within 7 years, there's not a single cell or atom or molecule that's in the same place as it was 7 years ago. So we are borrowing the universe and expressing as an individualized part of it, but it's not our molecules. Our molecules are everywhere and nowhere simultaneously. So thank you, everyone, so much for joining us. I really hope that you got some benefits out of this. This is something that we're going to continue doing until the very, very end of this stay-at-home order, which as of right now is supposed to be the 14th, but we've heard rumors that it might be extended. So if we're extended, we'll keep doing this daily. After this, we are going to keep this going. It's not necessarily going to be as much on a consistent basis. The videos are probably going to be shorter. And at some point, we are going to open this up to each one of you sharing these little bits of wisdom, these little practices, these little bits of truth that you're picking up in your life that have helped you make drastic shifts. Just like I'm sharing all of the things that have come to me in my life that have helped me make drastic shifts. Because at the end of this, these seeds of life, we want as many seeds of life as we possibly can. We want a variety. We want a whole ecosystem being built out of this. So as of right now, this is kind of, being led and directed, but at some point we want this to be opened up. We want each one of you to be sharing what you're comfortable and what needs to be shared so that we can experience more connection, more unity, more life as we move through all of these changes that are coming out of at this time. So keep in mind, we're going to ask you again to share these videos either on Facebook when we post them up, share the link so that more people can join in. We have our YouTube page that you can share each one of these the links to each one of these individuals' videos. We just got a button up. Connie is now the button master. We got a donation button put up on our website. Is that right, Connie? The organiclivingchiropractic.com?
Yes, it's a button on the website, and I am going to go grab the link and put it in the chat right now.
All right. We appreciate any amount that you could donate. Right now, it is very important for us to share this information freely, but freely sharing and giving goes both ways. And so we're now giving you the opportunity to share back with us. We're going to keep these videos up at some point. They're going to go into a package or a course or something like that. But right now we're freely giving them, and we want to give you the opportunity to freely give as well, because that's what's going to create this dynamic. And like I said, it doesn't matter if it's a penny, it doesn't matter if it's $1 million. We will take whatever. We're doing this much more for the flow of energy and to keep everything moving and dynamic and in relationship. So again, thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for sharing this. Thank you so much for sharing with us. We love you, and we will see you tomorrow, if not sooner.
Bye-bye.